Park with the latest tonight. Marcy.
Carrie and Mark, it's very obvious when I was on the campus of the school where the victims went to earlier that kids are just not bouncing around. They're not happy. They're very somber right now, which is very appropriate for what happened. These two young lives lost, like you said, Mark, way too early. And now members of the community are saying this is the time to start the healing, to come together and pay the respects to these two very special young people. Students at Betty H. Fairfax High School say in the wake of the tragic deaths of two fellow students, campus has been somber.
You know, people who lose their lives, it's never like a good thing, especially at such a young age when they have most of their life to still live and grow. But like the feeling around school has been very like mellow, like kind of soft.
Junior Kathleen Garcia says she had a class with one of the victims, 16-year-old Johanna, adding that she was a very special person.
I just hear a lot like, well, she'll be missed, and it's heartbreaking to see because she was a good student and she was energetic too. Like, she would always bring happiness to people's lives.
The crash happened Friday night at 59th and Camelback. The other driver hit the student's car head-on, killing Isa and Johanna and sending her sister, Banna, to the hospital. Police say impairment may have been a factor for the other driver.
It's hard to lose a life to somebody who was impaired and who was under the influence, and it's heartbreaking. So just don't drink and drive, because you can also not only lose other person's life, but you can also lose yours. And this vigil is going to get underway in just about an hour at 6 o'clock here at Cesar Chavez Park. All are welcome to come, say a little prayer, wish someone well, and we're all actually thinking about that other young woman who is still in the hospital. Our hearts are with her tonight. There's also been a GoFundMe page set up for funeral expenses and, of course, medical bills. We're going to put a link up to that on our website, fox10phoenix.com. Reporting live, Marcy Jones, Fox 10 News.
Thanks, Marcy. Developing tonight, a woman who police say tried to kill herself in the back of a police transport van has died.
Fox 10 News is back.
10 days of non-stop skydiving action getting underway in Eloy. Have you ever done it?
No.
No?
But it makes me nervous thinking about it.
Yeah, I saw your reaction there. Today kicks off the Parachute Association National Skydiving Championships.
It does look fun. I will say that. Hundreds of aerial athletes, as they're called, are in town to take part. And Christy Siefkin is here with more on the competition. This is one of the best places in the world to skydive, Arizona.
Yeah, any given time you can go out to Eloy. You can see a handful of parachutists, but this is definitely the time to head out there. It's the second year that the championships have been hosted in Eloy, and it's easy to see why the people keep coming back. These parachutists are incredible. They create formations as they free fall to the ground, and many of them are already national and world champions. 500 parachutists are taking the leap for the U.S. Parachute Association's National Skydiving Championships. The 10-day event, hosted by Skydive Arizona, features parachutists from around the country, competing in individual and group free fall events.
We have doctors, lawyers, engineers, mechanics, construction workers, military, pretty much the whole gamut.
U.S. Parachute Association's Nancy Corrine says that each team includes a camera flyer. He films the team on a helmet camera, and judges watch the footage to pick a winner. Chaz Blackshear is filming and jumping in the championships.
So even though it's really fun, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to just make sure that when we get down, we can prove that we did everything.
On a 14, you're on a 20-minute call. Your airplane will be coming in for fuel.
Sergeant John Michael Long is a member of the U.S. Army's Golden Knight parachute team, recent winner of the World Championships in Chicago.
It's almost like walking out onto the field for football practice. We do it so much. Our equipment's part of us, so we trust it.
78-year-old John Coutura was also a Golden Knight in 1956. After 60 years on the ground, he's training to jump again.
There's an insurance policy in case I don't make it.
The winner of each discipline takes home bragging rights, waiting for the thrill of the next jump.
I love this sport. I wouldn't stay with it if it wasn't fun, and it's fun every time.
The competition runs through Saturday, October 29th at Skydive, Arizona. That's located in Eloy. And competitors will be jumping from sunrise to sunset each day. I'm Christy Siefkin, Fox 10 News.
Well, temperatures.
This accident was between that train and
already been turned in. Now, obviously, a lot of other people are going to be heading out to the polls on Election Day. Now, today we sat down with the Secretary of State, Michelle Reagan. She was telling us, going into a little bit more detail on some of the measures that are put in place to make sure all of the votes are protected and everything is working properly.
We test the touchscreen machines, too, so when you're pressing the screen, and you're pressing a name, that's actually who it's casting the vote for.
Arizona Secretary of State Michelle Reagan going over some of the procedures in place to make sure the voting process is fair and protected. She says staff members from her office go around to all 15 counties and test polling equipment.
We run actually test elections on this equipment, make sure that if it's supposed to be saying 15 votes, it actually says 15 votes.
Reagan says other safeguards are in place, like voter ID laws, among many others.
Arizona also has a law, which some states don't have, which is that we need to have a paper trail of all ballots cast. This is a really good law in the sense that if someone is ever using one of those touchscreen machines, it's also recording on paper what that vote was.
After the machines are tested, they are set back to zero and sealed until Election Day. Even you can keep an eye on them until then via web cameras.
You can get to those links through our website, which is called Arizona.vote. So on Arizona.vote, we have the links to all 15 counties, and you're able to find out anything from that website, your polling place, links to all the counties, and also then the links to all of the live camera feeds.
And Reagan says typically at every polling place there should be a marshal. There's also poll workers there. She's telling anybody with any concerns that maybe sees anything out of the ordinary or anything that's not particularly in place there to tell that marshal or one of those poll workers. Reporting live, Danielle Miller, Fox 10 News.
Thank you, Danielle. A new woman accusing GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump of inappropriate contact. She's a yoga instructor named Karina Virginia, holding a press conference with attorney Gloria.
That I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
So what if Trump loses and he formally challenges the nationwide election, saying it was rigged? That's what ABC 15's Melissa Blasius asked Arizona's top election official. She's just back from that interview. Melissa, what'd you find out?
Right. Well, first of all, Mr. Trump obviously laying some groundwork here, saying that the election was rigged today and at the debate last night as well. Here in Arizona, state election officials responding, saying there is layer after layer of precautions and protections to ensure that no one steals the election. First and foremost, they say that you are required to present proof of citizenship when you go to register to vote. Also, you need to bring ID to the polls. Then there are the election machines themselves.
Okay.
Can it be rigged?
The chance and the ability to actually rig the vote or hack the vote is pretty slim to none. The machines are not hooked up to the internet, so they're completely offline. It'd be pretty hard to hack a machine or rig a machine that isn't hooked up to the internet.
Sarah may not know it, but undocumented immigrants voting has been a political issue in Arizona for years. She's worried about someone just walking in to vote.
What metric is in place to prevent that?
Yeah, is it that easy? Just walk in with a...
You ask something that a lot of people ask, and you need to show ID when you go to vote at the polling place. They look that up in an electronic poll book to make sure that driver's license matches someone who is indeed not just a resident of Arizona, but a citizen.
So it's not that easy, but to swing an election,
we'd have to have millions of votes or hundreds of thousands of votes,
and that's not to say that we're dismissive of any people's claims or fears, but the goal is to have an election that is as free from fraud as possible.
And Reagan's a Republican, though she hasn't come out to endorse Trump or any candidate.
I appreciate.
And that was it. Interview over, questions answered.
No, I'm still concerned about it. I don't trust the Clinton machine.
So Sarah's not entirely convinced there's nothing to it.
Was she at least a little reassuring?
Yes. Yeah, and very articulate about the process and how it's been changed and upgraded and updated, and that's comforting.
At the Capitol with Sarah, William Pitts, 12 News.
Well, if you have a question that you'd like us to verify, just shoot us an email to desk@12news.com.
If you were wondering what Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were really thinking and maybe trying to hide during last night's final debate, it's all right there in their body language. I had the chance to sit down with Patricia Townsend. She's a body language expert as the back and forth battle took place.
When this debate started, I thought they looked a little sedated. Maybe somebody had slipped them some Quaaludes or something. But boy, they sure, within 30 minutes into this debate, the emotion was high, the voices were getting loud, both of them getting very flushed. One thing I'm really liking with Hillary is these parallel gestures. I don't know if you've noticed this. When she makes a gesture, she uses both hands. So they come up, it's a very authoritative, it's a very regal, powerful gesture to use both hands. Donald Trump frequently does that himself. We have so much baseline video on these people so we can kind of see their patterns. So it's unusual to see him doing these asynchronous gestures. They're not as strong, they're not as dominating, so it's unusual to see that. Both of them, though, however, are using, and I'm sure you'll notice this as we go through, a lot of these illustrators and emblems. This A-OK is all over the place. Both sides using those to invoke that positive feeling. But what I see the most is when Hillary's speaking, you see Donald Trump smirking, rolling his eyes, doing all of these, what we call emotional contagion, to influence and perhaps cast a negative impression of what she's saying to the audience that's still watching him. On the split screen, every time anyone is speaking, the other candidate has the opportunity to kind of steal some of their power by making their own facial gestures, moving the microphone around, doing anything to distract from the other candidate that's speaking. So I noticed that these big smiles come up when she's pushed on issues that she doesn't want to talk about, she's uncomfortable with, doesn't have an answer for, and we get this over-the-top big smile, this big toothy grin and these huge eyes.
Okay, really interesting stuff, and I have to tell you, one of the things that surprised me about what Patricia said is that these two candidates practice everything, not just what they say, but also their body language. But at the end of a 90-minute debate, she said there are leaks, and usually there's really nothing that you can do to ultimately just keep it all in.
Yeah, so your true colors leak through.
The real candidates at some point will come through, and I think it's pretty safe to say we saw that happen last night.
We did. And I learned a new phrase, emotional contagion.
Yeah.
So do not emotional contagion me when I talk, please.
Well, it's not just the presidential race people are talking about. The race for Maricopa County Sheriff is also heating up. According to a brand new Arizona Republic, Morrison Cronkite.
Search a house where he's sure he saw the suspect duck in.
Deputies attempted to make contact with anybody that might be inside that